Nobody in that bank noticed the man in the worn jacket who walked in that afternoon. He was just a single father. Calloused hands, tired eyes, the kind of person the system usually overlooks. But the check he placed on the counter was worth $10 million. The manager laughed coldly. She didn't verify it, didn't ask questions, just tore the check in half, right in front of everyone. 10 minutes later, her boss walked in, looked at that man, and called him by a single word. Approximately 600 words. Daniel Moore woke at 5:30, same time every morning for the past 2 years. The apartment was quiet. Gray light came through the window over the kitchen sink. He made coffee in the old machine that clicked and wheezed, then started on Lily's lunch. Peanut butter sandwich, apple slices, juice box. The brown bag had her name written in marker. At 6:15, he heard her door open. "Morning, Dad." "Morning, sweetheart." She was 8. Brown hair in a ponytail he'd learned to make from a video. School uniform, mostly clean. Shoes that were getting too small but would last another month. They ate breakfast without talking much. Cereal. Toast. The kind of comfortable silence people have when they're used to each other. "Mrs. Patterson will pick you up today," he said. "Again? I have something to do in the city. Won't be long." "Okay." She didn't complain. She never did. At 7:40, they walked 3 blocks to the bus stop. Other parents were there. Clean cars, nice coats. They nodded at Daniel, but didn't really see him. He was furniture in their neighborhood. The single dad who worked weird hours and wore the same jacket all winter. The bus came. Lily hugged him. "Love you, Dad." "Love you too." He watched until the bus turned the corner. Then he walked back home, showered, and got dressed. Clean jeans. The jacket with the worn collar. Boots that needed new soles. He looked in the mirror and knew exactly what people would see. A guy barely holding on. The envelope was in his desk drawer. White, unsealed. He'd put it there 2 days ago after the wire came through. Inside was a check. Single piece of paper. His name. An amount that didn't look real when you wrote it out in words. $10 million. 2 years of work. Nights when Lily was asleep. Weekends when she was at her friend's house, building security software for a fund that operated in the shadows. They wanted something untraceable, unbreakable. They paid what it was worth. The check was from an escrow account. Legal, verified, real. Daniel folded the envelope and put it in his jacket pocket. He took the train into Stonebridge City. 30-minute ride. He stood the whole way, holding the rail, watching the buildings get taller through the scratched window. The city was all glass and steel. People in suits, everyone moving fast. Daniel walked slow, hands in pockets, like he had nowhere to be. Rivergate National Bank was on the corner of 5th and Grant. Big stone building, glass doors with brass handles. The kind of place that looked like it had been there forever and would be there long after everyone else was gone. Daniel stopped outside. A woman walked past him. Designer bag. Phone to her ear. She didn't look at him. A man in a business suit held the door for someone behind him. Let it close when Daniel reached for it. He caught it anyway. Walked inside. The lobby was cold. Marble floors, high ceilings. Voices echoed. There were velvet ropes making lines toward the counter. Potted plants that were too perfect to be real. A security guard near the door, arms crossed. Daniel got in line. Nobody looked at him twice. He was used to that. What he wasn't used to was having a check in his pocket that could change everything. That could mean Lily got new shoes when she needed them. That she could go to college without loans. That they could move somewhere with heat that actually worked. He just had to deposit it. Should be simple. Approximately 600 words. The line moved slow. Daniel watched the tellers behind the counter. Young. Efficient. They smiled at customers in suits, processed transactions with quick fingers on keyboards. The whole system was smooth, rehearsed. He counted 4 security cameras. The guard by the door shifted his weight every few minutes. Radio on his belt. Eyes scanning. His gaze passed over Daniel, paused, came back. Standard procedure. Daniel kept his hands visible. Ahead of him, a businessman complained about wire transfer fees. The teller apologized in a voice that didn't sound sorry. Another customer wanted to open an account. Forms were produced. Signatures required. Daniel waited. The air smelled like floor polish and recycled cold. Then he heard heels on marble. A woman crossed the lobby from a door marked Management, mid-40s. Blonde hair pulled back tight, navy suit that fit perfect. Her expression was practiced pleasant enough for people she needed to be pleasant to. Everyone else got efficiency. Her name tag said Karen Whitfield, branch manager. She scanned the lobby the way generals scan battlefields, checking everything, making sure her domain ran correctly. Her eyes landed on Daniel. Something flickered in her face. Not concern, not curiosity. Assessment. He didn't fit. Wrong clothes, wrong posture, wrong everything. She looked away, spoke briefly to a teller, glanced back at Daniel. Daniel felt it. That weight, that judgment he'd been feeling it his whole life. The line moved. He was third now. Then second. Karen walked to the counter, whispered something to the teller who would be helping him next, a young woman with red hair and a nervous smile. The teller nodded, glanced at Daniel, nodded again. When it was Daniel's turn, the teller said, "How can I help you? I need to deposit a check." "Of course. Do you have an account with us? Then we'll need to." She stopped, looked past Daniel. "Miss Whitfield will handle this." Karen stepped to the counter. "Good afternoon." Her voice was professional, cold underneath. "I understand you're making a deposit, and you don't have an account here?" "Not yet." "I see." She looked him up and down, took her time. "We have procedures for new accounts, especially for large deposits. Security reasons, you understand." Daniel said nothing. "May I ask the amount?" He took the envelope from his pocket, set it on the counter between them. Karen picked it up, opened it, pulled out the check. Her eyes moved across it. The number, his name, the issuing bank. For 3 seconds, nothing happened. Then she looked up at him, and something changed in her face. Not surprise, not professionalism, disbelief. The ugly kind. "This is a joke," she said. "Sir, this." She held the check up like evidence. "This is $10 million, and you're trying to deposit it here." People nearby were starting to notice. The businessmen who'd complained about fees. An older couple waiting in line. They sensed something happening. Karen's voice got louder. "Not much, just enough. Where did you get this?" "I earned it." "Doing what?" "That's not really. I think it's very relevant." She looked at the check again. "This is issued from an escrow account I've never heard of, for an amount that frankly doesn't match your appearance." The silence in that moment was specific. Daniel heard it clearly. So did everyone else in the lobby. Approximately 600 words. Daniel kept his voice level. "I can provide documentation. The wire transfer receipt, contract details, whatever you need. I'm sure you can." Karen set the check down on the counter, smoothed it with her palm. "But let's be honest. People who have $10 million don't walk into banks looking like, well," she didn't finish the sentence. Didn't need to. The businessman stepped closer, watching. The older couple pretended not to stare, but didn't move from their spot in line. The security guard's hand moved closer to his radio. "Is there a problem?" Daniel asked. "I'm not sure yet." Karen picked up the check again, held it up to the light like she was checking for watermarks. "These days, you can print anything, make it look official. People come in here all the time with fake checks, fake IDs, fake stories. It's not fake. So you say, call the issuing bank, verify it." "Oh, I will." She smiled. It didn't reach her eyes. "But first, I need to ask you some questions." For security purposes. You understand. I've answered your questions. Not all of them. She leaned forward slightly. Where do you live? Stonebridge. Where in Stonebridge? The West Side. West Side. She said it like it explained everything. And what do you do for work? Software development. Software. Another smile. And your employer? I'm independent. Independent. She set the check down again. Crossed her arms. So you're telling me that you, an independent software developer from the West Side, earned $10 million, and you're just now coming to deposit it. And you don't have a bank account, and you're wearing. She stopped. Looked at his jacket. That. The businessman laughed. Short. Quiet. But everyone heard it. Daniel felt something shift in his chest. Not anger. Something colder. Are you going to verify the check? He asked. I'm going to do my due diligence. Then do it. Don't tell me how to do my job, sir. The word sir sounded like an insult. Karen picked up her phone. Dialed a number. Yes, this is Karen Whitfield at Rivergate National, Stonebridge branch. Pause. I need to verify a check. Escrow account. She read off the account number. Amount is $10 million. She listened. Daniel watched her face. I see. And the account is active? Pause. No, I'm asking because the individual presenting it is atypical. Pause. Yes, I understand security protocols. That's exactly why I'm calling. She hung up. The account exists, she said. Then there's no problem. The account exists, she repeated. But they can't verify this specific check without additional information. The account holder would need to confirm the transaction directly. I have the contract. Anyone can forge a contract. Then call them back. Have them contact the account holder. That could take days, so I'll wait. Karen looked at him. Really, looked. Not at his clothes or his hands or his shoes. At him, and whatever she saw made her decision. I can't accept this check, she said. Why not? Because I have reason to believe it's fraudulent. The lobby went quiet. Daniel felt it. That moment when the air changes. When everything tips. It's not fraudulent, he said. I disagree. Then let me speak to your supervisor. I am the supervisor. Your regional manager. Whoever you answer to. I don't need to involve anyone else. She picked up the check. Held it between both hands. I'm rejecting this transaction. Company policy. Section 12, subsection 4. I have the authority to refuse any deposit I deem suspicious. You haven't even verified. I don't need to. Approximately 600 words. Karen raised her voice. Not shouting, but loud enough that everyone in the lobby could hear clearly. Sir, I'm going to have to ask you to leave. Daniel didn't move. This is a legitimate check, he said quietly. That's your claim. But based on my professional judgment. She looked around at the small crowd that had gathered. Playing to them now. This appears to be an attempted fraud. The businessman stepped back. Like fraud might be contagious. The older woman clutched her purse tighter. Karen gestured to the security guard. Thomas, please escort this gentleman out. Thomas was mid-30s, ex-military bearing. He approached slowly, one hand near his belt. Sir, you need to come with me. Daniel looked at him, then at Karen, then at the check still in her hands. I'm not leaving without that check. This check is now evidence, Karen said. I'll be reporting this to the authorities. Evidence of what? Attempted bank fraud. The words landed like stones. Daniel felt the shift. The way people lean away from you. The way you become something other than human. A problem. A threat. I haven't committed fraud, he said. That will be determined by the proper authorities. You haven't verified anything. You've made an assumption based on... He stopped. Because saying it out loud would make it real, would give it power. But Karen said it for him. based on the fact that you don't look like someone who has $10 million. She held up the check. This is either stolen, forged, or part of some scheme, and I'm not going to let my bank be used for money laundering or fraud. I can prove. Thomas. The guard stepped closer. His hand was on his radio now. Sir, please don't make this difficult. Daniel looked around the lobby, at the faces watching him. None of them saw a man. They saw a story they'd tell later. Did you hear what happened at the bank? Some guy tried to deposit a fake check. $10 million. Can you imagine? He looked back at Karen. I'd like that check back, he said. I told you. It's evidence. It's my property. It's fraudulent property. You haven't proven that. I don't need to prove it. I just need reasonable suspicion. And I have plenty. She was enjoying this. Daniel could see it. The way her shoulders were back. The slight upturn at the corner of her mouth. You know what I think? Karen set the check on the counter again, smoothed it flat with her palm. I think you found this, or someone gave it to you, and you thought you'd walk in here and try your luck, figured maybe we wouldn't check, maybe we'd just process it and you'd disappear with the money. That's not, but you picked the wrong bank, and the wrong manager. She looked at Thomas. Please remove him from the building. Ma'am, I really think. Now, Thomas. The guard reached for Daniel's arm. Daniel pulled back. Not aggressive. Don't touch me. I'm leaving. Just give me the check. Karen picked it up again, held it in both hands, and smiled. No, she said. Approximately 500 words. Karen held the check at both ends. This is what I think of fraud. And she tore it in half. The sound was small, just paper ripping, but in that marble lobby, it echoed. She wasn't done. She tore it again. And again. Pieces getting smaller. Confetti made from Daniel's future. The older woman gasped. The businessman said, Jesus. Thomas the guard stopped moving. Karen let the pieces fall onto the counter. Little white and blue fragments. Numbers and signatures torn apart. There, she said. Problem solved. Daniel stared at the pieces. 2 years of work. Every late night, every weekend, every hour away from Lily. Gone. Not stolen. Not lost. Destroyed. By someone who'd decided he wasn't worth the effort of a phone call. His hands were shaking. He put them in his pockets. That was my check, he said. His voice sounded far away. That was evidence of fraud, Karen corrected, and I disposed of it accordingly. You can't. I can. And I did. Company policy allows me to confiscate and destroy fraudulent instruments to prevent them from being used again. She crossed her arms. You're lucky I'm not pressing charges. Daniel looked at her. She believed she was right. Believed she was protecting the bank. Protecting customers. Doing her job. And maybe that was the worst part. Not malice. Not cruelty. Just absolute certainty that she knew what she was looking at. I earned that money, he said quietly. I'm sure you believe that. I can prove it. With what? More fake documents? He didn't answer. Because what could he say? That he'd worked for 2 years, building unhackable security for people who didn't officially exist? That the contract was real but would never hold up in court because both parties wanted deniability? That he was exactly what he looked like, a guy barely getting by until 3 days ago when the wire cleared and changed everything? Nobody would believe that. Karen certainly didn't. Thomas, please escort him out. This time, Daniel didn't resist. He looked at the pieces of the check one more time, memorized what he could see. Account numbers, fragments of his name. Then he turned and walked toward the door. The crowd parted. Nobody met his eyes. He pushed through the brass-handled door and stepped into the afternoon sunlight. Behind him, he heard Karen's voice. Everyone can return to their transactions. Sorry for the disruption. We take fraud very seriously here at Rivergate National. The door closed. Daniel stood on the sidewalk. People walked past. Cars drove by. The city kept moving like nothing had happened. He reached into his pocket, pulled out his phone, opened his banking app. The escrow account showed a zero balance, because the check had cleared out the full amount, and that check was now in pieces on a counter. He put the phone away, started walking, had no idea where he was going. Approximately 500 words. Daniel walked 3 blocks before he stopped. He was standing in front of a coffee shop. Through the window, he could see people at laptops. Students studying. Someone reading a newspaper. Normal life? Normal problems. He kept walking. The west side was 40 minutes by train. He'd have to pick up Lily at 6. Mrs. Patterson would understand if he was late, but he didn't want to be. Lily worried when things changed unexpectedly. His phone buzzed. Text from Mrs. Patterson. Lily's fine. Making cookies. Take your time. He typed back, thanks. Be there by 6. Another buzz. This one made his chest tight. Electric bill. Overdue notice. $53. Not the end of the world. But it used to be. A month ago, $53 meant choosing between heat and groceries. Now, or what should have been now, $53 was nothing. The check would have cleared in 2 days. Money would hit his account. Real money. The kind that erases every small panic. But the check was gone. Daniel sat down on a bench. Bus stop. Nobody else waiting. He thought about going back, demanding they pay for the destroyed check. But what would that accomplish? Karen was certain she was right. She'd destroyed what she believed was fraud. The bank would back her. He'd need lawyers. Documentation. Months of fighting. And meanwhile, Lily needed new shoes. The rent was due in 12 days. His laptop was dying. He needed it for work. He thought about the people who'd paid him. The quiet fund that operated in legal gray areas. They wouldn't issue another check. The contract was complete. Payment delivered. What happened after that was his problem. He could call them. Explain. But they didn't take calls. That was the whole point. You did the work. They paid. Everyone went their separate ways. He'd signed papers acknowledging he understood the risks of anonymity. This was one of those risks. Daniel checked the time. 4:20. If he caught the 4:40 train, he'd be home by 5:30. Enough time to pull together something for dinner. Maybe they'd watch a movie. Lily liked the old animated ones. She'd seen them all a dozen times but always wanted to watch again. He stood up, brushed off his jacket, started toward the train station, then stopped. A black car was pulling up in front of the bank. Town car, professional driver. Back door opened and a woman stepped out. 50s, gray suit, red scarf. She moved like someone used to being in charge. She walked straight to the bank entrance. Didn't pause, didn't look around. The door opened before she reached it. Someone inside had seen her coming. Daniel watched her disappear inside. Something in his gut twisted. He wasn't sure why. He should leave, catch his train, get back to Lily. But his feet didn't move. He stayed on that bench, watching the bank entrance, waiting. For what? He didn't know. Approximately 600 words. 5 minutes passed. Daniel was about to leave when the bank door opened again. The woman in the gray suit stood in the doorway. Her eyes found him. She walked across the sidewalk. Steady. Deliberate. Daniel stood up as she approached. Mr. Moore? He blinked. Yes? My name is Evelyn Cross. I'm the regional director for Rivergate National. She extended her hand. He shook it. Her grip was firm. I believe there's been a serious problem, she said. You could say that. Would you mind coming back inside? I think we need to have a conversation. Daniel looked past her at the bank. I'm not sure that's a good idea. I understand your hesitation. But I promise you things are going to be handled very differently this time. Who told you what happened? The security guard. Thomas Brennan. He called me directly 20 minutes ago, said something felt wrong about the situation and thought I should know immediately. Daniel looked at her, trying to read what was real and what was performance. Miss Whitfield destroyed my check, he said. I know. She accused me of fraud. I know that too. So why would I come back in? Evelyn's expression didn't change. Because what happened to you was unacceptable, and because I'd like the opportunity to correct it. But I can't do that if you're standing out here. A bus pulled up to the stop. Doors opened. Nobody got off. The driver looked at Daniel. He waved him on. The bus pulled away. One condition, Daniel said. What's that? She doesn't touch anything related to my account. Ever. That won't be a problem. Why not? Because, as of about 3 minutes ago, Miss Whitfield no longer works at Rivergate National. The words hung in the air. Daniel studied Evelyn's face. She wasn't gloating, wasn't apologizing, just stating a fact. You fired her. I began termination proceedings. They'll be completed within the hour. Because of what she did to me? Because of what she did to a customer. Because she violated about 6 different protocols. Because she destroyed property that wasn't hers to destroy. And because Evelyn's voice got quieter, she made assumptions based on appearance rather than facts. That's not how we operate. Or at least, that's not how we're supposed to operate. Daniel looked back at the bank building. Through the glass doors, he could see people moving around inside. Business, as usual. Is she still in there? She's in my office. With HR on speakerphone. Does she know why you're out here? What did she say? Evelyn smiled. It was cold. That there must be some mistake. That I don't understand what happened. That she was protecting the bank. She really believes she was right. Most people do. Evelyn gestured toward the bank. Will you come back in? I can't fix what she broke if you don't. Daniel thought about Lily. About getting home. About moving on and forgetting this whole thing. But he thought about the way Karen had looked at him. The way she'd torn up that check. The certainty in her face. And he thought about the next person who'd walk in looking wrong. Sounding wrong. Being wrong by someone else's standards. Okay, he said. They walked back to the bank together. This time, when Daniel pushed through the door, people noticed. Approximately 800 words. The lobby had more people now. End of the workday. Lines at every teller window. Conversation stopped when Daniel walked in beside Evelyn Cross. The businessman was still there. So was the older couple. They recognized him immediately. Karen was standing near the management office, red-faced. A man in a cheap suit beside her HR, probably. She saw Daniel and something flickered across her face. Not fear, not guilt, anger. Evelyn walked straight to her. Miss Whitfield. I believe you know Mr. Moore. Karen's jaw was tight. I've already explained. You'll have your turn to speak. Right now, I need you to listen. Evelyn's voice carried, not loud, but clear. Everyone in the lobby could hear. Mr. Moore came into this bank approximately 45 minutes ago. Is that correct? And he presented a check for deposit. A fraudulent check. I didn't ask you to characterize it. I asked you to confirm he presented a check. Karen's hands were fists. Yes, and what did you do with that check? I confiscated it. As is my right under. You destroyed it. Silence. Karen's mouth opened. Closed. You tore up a customer's check, Evelyn continued, without verifying its authenticity, without conducting any actual investigation. You made a judgment based on, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Moore's appearance. I called the issuing bank. You called and confirmed the account exists. Then you decided that wasn't enough. Why? Because Karen looked around. At the crowd. At Daniel. Because it didn't make sense. Look at him. He's wearing a jacket with holes in it. His boots are falling apart, and he's trying to deposit $10 million. That's not normal. That's suspicious. So you assumed fraud. I made a professional judgment. Based on what? His clothes? where he lives. The fact that he doesn't look like your idea of wealth? Karen's face was scarlet. I was protecting the bank. You were protecting your assumptions. Evelyn turned to Daniel. Mr. Moore, would you mind explaining what you do for work? Daniel's voice was quiet. I'm a software developer. Security systems. And the check Miss Whitfield destroyed? Payment for a 2-year contract. I built custom security architecture for a private investment fund. Can you verify that? Daniel pulled out his phone, opened his email, showed Evelyn the wire transfer notification, the contract summary, the completion certificate. Evelyn took the phone, studied it, handed it to the HR rep. He read it. His face went pale. This is legitimate, he said. Karen grabbed for the phone. The HR rep pulled it back. That could be faked, she said. Anyone can mock up an email. Evelyn held up her hand. Thomas, could you come here, please? The security guard approached. You were present during this entire interaction, correct? Yes, ma'am. In your professional judgment, did Mr. Moore behave in any way that suggested fraud, aggression, deception? Thomas looked at Daniel, then at Karen. No, ma'am. He was calm, cooperative, answered questions. Didn't raise his voice even when Miss Whitfield got hostile. Karen's mouth fell open. Hostile? I was never. You called me a criminal, Daniel said quietly, in front of everyone here. You destroyed my property. You had security try to force me out. That feels pretty hostile. The businessman shifted uncomfortably. The older woman looked away. Evelyn picked up the pieces of the check from the counter. They were still there, scattered, torn. This check, she said, holding up the pieces, represented 2 years of Mr. Moore's work, 2 years of supporting his daughter, building a future, and you destroyed it because he didn't look right to you. I was following protocol. No, you were following prejudice. There's a difference. Evelyn set the pieces down. Mr. Moore could have been wearing a suit, could have driven up in a nice car, could have had all the markers of wealth you expected to see, and you would have processed that check without a second thought. That's not. It is. And we both know it. Karen's face crumpled. Not with remorse. With fury. You don't understand. People come in here every day trying to scam us. Every day. And 99 times out of 100, when someone like him walks in with something that big, it's fake. Someone like him, Evelyn repeated. Someone who's poor. Someone from the West Side. Someone who looks like they haven't had a decent meal in weeks. The words came out like weapons. Daniel felt them land. But they didn't hurt anymore. Because everyone in that lobby heard what he'd heard from the start. The truth behind the professional courtesy. Approximately 500 words. Evelyn's expression didn't change. Thank you for clarifying, she said. That makes this much easier. She turned to the HR rep. Final termination. Effective immediately. Cause: destruction of customer property. Violation of verification protocols, discrimination, and gross misconduct. The HR rep nodded. Started typing on his tablet. Karen's face went white. You can't. I can. And I am. I have rights. Union protection, which will be explained to you in detail. Right now, I need your employee badge. Your keys, your access cards. This is insane. I was doing my job. Your job was to serve customers, not judge them. Evelyn held out her hand. Badge, now. Karen stared at her. For a moment, Daniel thought she might refuse. Might make a scene, but she reached into her jacket, pulled out a lanyard with her ID badge, slapped it into Evelyn's palm. The keys came next, then a security card. Your personal items will be packed and delivered to your home address, Evelyn said. You're not to return to this building. Any questions about severance or final pay should be directed to HR. I gave 12 years to this bank, and in one afternoon, you threw away every bit of goodwill you'd built." Evelyn gestured to the door. "Thomas will escort you out." Karen looked around the lobby, at the customers watching, at the tellers pretending not to stare. Her eyes landed on Daniel. "I hope you're happy," she said. "I'm not," Daniel replied. "I just wanted to deposit a check." Something in his voice must have hit her, because her expression changed. Just for a second. A flicker of something that might have been understanding. But then it was gone. Thomas touched her elbow gently. "Ma'am, this way." They walked to the door. Everyone watched. The businessman, the older couple, the tellers, all of them witnessing the cost of being wrong. The door closed behind them. The lobby was quiet. Evelyn turned to the crowd. "I apologize that you all had to witness that, but I want to be very clear about something. Rivergate National serves everyone, regardless of how you're dressed, where you're from, what you look like. If you ever feel you've been treated unfairly here, you have my personal number." She pulled out business cards, started handing them to people. "We're better than what you saw today. I promise you that." The older woman took a card. "Thank you," she said quietly. Conversations started up again. Slowly, people returned to their transactions. The moment was breaking apart. Evelyn turned to Daniel. "I have paperwork for you to sign, complaint forms, incident reports, and we need to issue a new check." "How long will that take?" "For the check? 10 minutes. For the paperwork? Maybe an hour." Daniel pulled out his phone. Texted Mrs. Patterson. "Going to be later than expected." Response came back fast. "No problem. Lily and I are having a tea party. Take your time." He looked at Evelyn. "Okay." Approximately 800 words. Evelyn led him to a private office. Not Karen's old space, a larger room. Wood desk, leather chairs, windows overlooking the street. "Sit," she said. Daniel sat. She took the chair across from him. Not behind the desk. Face to face. "First," she said, "I'm sorry. What happened to you should never happen. Not here. Not anywhere. You already fired her. That's more than most places would do. It's the minimum we should do." Evelyn pulled out a tablet. Started typing. "The check will be reissued by the escrow company. I've already contacted them. They're sending it by secure courier. Should be here by tomorrow morning." "They believed you?" "I sent them the security footage. They saw everything." Daniel blinked. "There's footage?" "Of course. Every transaction. Every interaction." She showed him the tablet. Video playing silently. Him approaching the counter. Karen's face. The check being torn. It looked worse on video. More deliberate. "Can I get a copy of that?" he asked. "Already done. It'll be emailed to you within the hour. For your records. In case I want to sue." "That's your right. The bank won't fight it. We'll settle fairly if you choose to pursue legal action." Daniel watched the silent video play. Karen's hands tearing the check. His own face, blank, tired. "I don't want to sue," he said. Evelyn looked up. "No, I just want to deposit the check. Move on. Forget this happened. That's generous of you. It's practical. Lawsuits take time. Energy. I have a daughter. She needs me focused on her, not on being angry." Evelyn studied him. "Can I ask you something?" "Sure. Why didn't you fight back? When she was accusing you. When she destroyed the check, you just stood there." Daniel was quiet for a moment. "Because they'd already decided who I was," he said finally. "Karen. The people in line. Everyone. They saw what I looked like and made their assumptions. Nothing I said was going to change that. But you were right. Doesn't matter. When people decide you're something, you become that thing to them. You can argue, you can prove them wrong, But in that moment, you're still what they think you are. That's a hard way to live. It's the way most people live. We just don't talk about it. Evelyn set down her tablet. For what it's worth, you shouldn't have to live that way. Not in my bank. Your bank, Daniel said. Not everyone's. Then I'll work to change that. She pulled out forms, official bank documents, incident reports. He signed where she indicated. Read everything first. Took his time. When they were done, she brought in a manager from another branch. A man in his 60s, kind eyes, gentle voice. Mr. Moore, I'll personally handle your account setup. New customer intake. And when your check arrives tomorrow, I'll process it myself. Here's my direct number. He handed Daniel a card. Call me if you have any concerns, any questions, anything. Daniel took the card. Thank you. It's my pleasure, sir. That word again. Sir, but this time it sounded different. Felt different, like it was meant. The paperwork was done by 6:45. Daniel declined the offer of a car service. Said he'd take the train. Evelyn walked him to the door. I mean it, she said. If you change your mind about legal action, call me. The bank's lawyers will work with you, not against you. I appreciate that. And Mr. Moore? I'm sorry you had to teach us this lesson. You shouldn't have had to. He looked at her. Just make sure the next person who walks in looking like me doesn't have to teach it again. I will. Daniel stepped out into the evening air. The city was darker now, streetlights on, people heading home from work. He caught the 7:15 train, stood the whole way, watched the city disappear behind him. His phone buzzed. Text from Lily. Mrs. Patterson says you're on your way. We saved you cookies. He smiled, typed back, can't wait. Love you too, Dad. The train rocked gently. Daniel closed his eyes. He thought about the check, about the money that would be in his account tomorrow, about everything it meant. New shoes for Lily. Better apartment. Heat, that worked, but also something else. Proof that he was worth what he'd earned, that the system could work, that sometimes, not always, but sometimes people saw their mistakes and fixed them. Karen would land on her feet. People like her always did, but maybe she'd remember. Maybe next time she'd pause before making assumptions. Maybe. The train pulled into his station. Daniel got off, walked the 3 blocks home. Mrs. Patterson met him at the door, Lily behind her. Face covered in cookie crumbs. She crashed into him. He picked her up. She was getting too big for this, but he did it anyway. Hey, sweetheart, we made chocolate chip. Your favorite. Best news I've heard all day. Mrs. Patterson gathered her things. Daniel thanked her, paid her for the extra hours. She refused. He insisted. When she left, it was just him and Lily. How was your day? She asked. Complicated, he said. But it got better. Good. She handed him a cookie. These make everything better. He bit into it. Warm, slightly burnt on the edges. Perfect. You're right, he said. They sat on the couch, half-watched a movie. Lily fell asleep against his shoulder before it was over. Daniel didn't move, just sat there, his daughter warm against him. Cookie crumbs on her shirt. Tomorrow the check would come. Tomorrow everything would change. But right now, this was enough. This was everything.